What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about INFJs as entrepreneurs. I don't see a lot of role models when it comes to this. And pretty much all of my clients want to be an entrepreneur in some extent, right? It is something that so many INFJs crave, not because we want the big cars or all that money that comes with it, but because we want the freedom of what this means to us. But if you look at mainstream media, if you look at the role models that we do have, you don't really see INFJs being entrepreneurs. But the truth is, it's not such a rare thing. It's just that it's not that visible. INFJs mostly are entrepreneurs in niches. They do their own thing. They walk by their own drums. And today I want to share with you my experience as a full-time entrepreneur in INFJ. I want to show you how I made that switch, what you can do if you're just starting out, if you want to start out with a side hustle, or you're ready to completely quit your job. We're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna promise you I'm going to give you the real deal. I'm not gonna just talk about the great things. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to take the next step in creating your epic life and you want my help in it, then work with me privately or join the Epic Life Masterclass. You find all the information below. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur for the last 2.5 years or 2 years, something like this. And before that, I had this channel for around 4 years. So I've been doing this all together for 6 years. And as you can tell, it's not something that happened overnight. And I know there's so many people who can make like all of this money within months, but that's their path. That's not what my path was about. And I'm sure if I would have gone a different direction where my main focus was, I want to make money, I want to be independent, I want to do my own thing, and I wasn't bringing this INFJ factor into it, I would have never stuck to it. Because on some level, I was always attracted to that, and I know a lot of INFJs are. As I said, not because this is like this thing that's gonna give us so much money or all the cars or whatever we might think and is presented to us as like the thing how success looks like. It's much more the freedom of doing everything on our terms. So I was always attracted to this kind of thing, and I was always attracted to stepping out of the norm, doing my own thing, and just having the power to go against the grain. But there was always a reason to stop. And the reason to stop was because I didn't believe in what I was doing. I had ideas about things that could make money, but it never really stuck with me because the truth is this, it's going to take time. And if you're like the typical INFJ, it's probably not going to happen overnight. We've talked about it in the INFJ learning style video, that in a lot of cases, it is an exponential curve when it comes to the way we learn. And this also applies to entrepreneurship because it's all about mindset. We can all learn the tactics. We can all learn the strategies, how to build a funnel, how to write a book, how to promote yourself. The tactics are not the difficult part. The difficult part is your mindset. That's the only thing we need to master. And if you come from a place where I was at, which was actually a place of codependency, which was a place where I was denying who I was and I was completely numbed out, then of course it's gonna take a minute. My mindset wasn't built in a year before that to get me to that point, and so it's going to take me more than a year to get out of that. And so the only reason why I was able to now be so successful and be able to like do this full time and have this as my main gig is because I didn't make it about the money aspect. I didn't make it about being successful and having so many followers or subscribers or whatever that entails. Because if this would have been the path I would have chosen, I would have definitely quit. Because there will be moments when things are not working out, and these moments will happen way more often than when things work out. It's about overcoming all of those obstacles. It's about overcoming rejection. So in my experience, the things that will make us stick with it are the things that we deeply believe in, that we would do even if they wouldn't bring us in any money, even if they wouldn't bring us in any prestige. These are the things that we can take as part of us and make them something real. So when I started this channel, this was really my way of giving back. This was my way of doing something for society, which I could do because I had something to give. I actually even switched my job the moment I started doing this for a job that required me to work more, to invest more time in this. I knew that I wanted this financial security aspect in my life, and at the same time, I didn't want to make any compromises when it came to my gift, when it came to my passion, when it came to my vocation. I wanted to have this. And the moment I started doing this channel, the moment I said to myself, no matter what, Twice a week, I will create a video where I share my lessons learned, because these are the things that I've been preaching of forever. I have just done it in my closest relationships and in ways where it wasn't the most beneficial for me. And I believe we all have that. That's why vocation is one of the pillars of the Epic Life Masterclass, or the 5 pillars to an epic life. You can download the free poster, by the way, of the 5 pillars below. My point is, we as INFJs particularly need that vocation. We need that purpose in life. And as long as you feel like you have to make compromises on that purpose because this thing has to create income for you, then you'll always get entangled and you always feel like you have to give up the thing that is most important to you. So whoever is about to start something, in most cases, I always recommend divide those two. Have this aspect of your life where you say, I'm going to take care of my wealth management, also one of the pillars. So I'm going to take care of my financial security. I'm going to step out of my fantasy, which I love. I as an INFJ, I love living in a fantasy, and probably 80% of my life I get to live here. But I get to live here because I was willing then as well as now to invest 20% of my time in doing the non-romantic things and doing the things that are real world actions. And in the beginning, it was about having a stable job, a job where I wasn't just surviving, a job where I wanted to get ahead. Because through that aspect of moving up, through that aspect of wanting to go bigger and better, I learned this aspect. I learned this mindset of wanting to grow. I wasn't at a point yet where I had the mindset to invest this kind of energy that I have now into my business or into my vocation back then. I didn't have the self-confidence to stay there and be that convinced of what I have to say. As much as I wanted it, I can look back and I see how my tone of voice is. I know that there were things for me that were difficult to say. I knew that there will be judgment, things that I was embarrassed about or uncomfortable about if other people would see it. But I did it anyways. But I couldn't get to where I was now if I wasn't willing to take those first steps. So whatever you want to do, that fantasy that you have in your mind, that vision that you could tell yourself, oh, this is too big, this is too different, people are not going to understand it. Trust me, there are people who will understand it, because the things you see right now, this is not what the world is. This is just what is currently in your reality. In my old reality, there was nobody who was interested in these kind of things. There weren't any entrepreneurs that were living in a way how I live, which is a chilled life, which is a life of freedom, which is a life of passion, vocation, where I don't work myself sick. I work so much less than before, and I have such a better lifestyle. I make that much more income, and none of this would have happened if I hadn't been willing to take it step by step. So in order to be able to live out that fantasy of yours, you have to be willing to look at the practical steps. Don't just think about, oh, there's so much more behind it. I have to figure out why I'm so hesitant, what I'm afraid of. You will not get rid of these thoughts by thinking them through. You will get through those thoughts by doing things like applying for the better job in order to feel financially secure. So over here, you can invest in that vocation as part of your life's work. Writing that book, becoming the musician that you always wanted to be, stepping out of your comfort zone. And every single time you work on both of those aspects, you realize how much realer this gets. On the one hand, you have this old life. You have this life which plays by all the rules, which is you may be in a corporate job or you working in a way how your parents expected of you. Completely getting out of this world from one step to the other might be too much for many of us. And it might be that even the ones of us who do this will come back because the shift is too big. But if you feel like, well, I'm playing my role here, I feel socially secure, because we all know this is a mindset thing. The freer you are over here to express yourself in your most authentic self. And what happens over here, that is the interesting part, because gradually you understand that you are not alone. You're not the only one who lives a life like this. I'm not the only one who lives a life how I'm living it. Now I'm surrounded by people in my masterminds, by people that I get mentored by people that I look up to that live lives like this. Lives that are full of vocation, so of your purpose, where you can help people or inspire people or add something in a positive way and at the same time create a great lifestyle for yourself. And to see that you're building a new world and your unique point of view matters. In my old world, I was always taught that if I wanted to be successful, I either have to be a workaholic and work in a corporate job and do things I don't want to do, or if I would be an entrepreneur, it's not this fairy tale life that I would imagine where I could just work the hours that I want and enjoy my life. No, it would be working 80 hours a week and, getting up at 4 o'clock and working until 1 at night. But the truth is that this is not the only way, and I'm not the only one telling you this. It might be that you don't see so many people like this around you, but that is because you haven't started to look into this world. Me, who's been following this path, I see how this is not only a growing community, and I'm not just talking about INFJs. I'm talking about this relaxed hustle where it's fun, where it's exciting, where you help people or you add value in a way that you believe has real meaning, and at the same time create influence and wealth for yourself. It gives you an opportunity to grow, because I remember the thing that I missed most in this old lifestyle of mine was that I didn't feel fully alive, that I didn't feel that I could grow, that I was putting myself into a box in order to fit in somewhere. And the thing that I wanted most was to feel completely alive, to feel like I can grow. And the best way I have seen for INFJs to make that happen is to follow your vocation, to figure out how do you want to be seen, how do you want to serve, to find the sweet spot in that, and to actually bring that out, and to learn to overcome all of those mindset blocks that are keeping you from that. And you do this on the side, but in a way where it doesn't overwhelm you. It gets you out of your comfort zone, but it's not something that you feel like you couldn't do for the rest of your life. Because chances are it will take time. But you know what? That time will pass. And the first moment I started doing this, I already felt a fulfillment I had never felt before. It's not that you do this because one day you're gonna feel good. If that's the case, then you'll always find a reason to stop. That's why I stopped before, when it was all about just building a business. But the moment I started doing something that brought me such joy, that allowed me to share what my biggest gifts are, that was the moment I fell in love with the process. And that's the thing that's gonna help you to make it happen in the long run. So if you're interested to live out your vocation, your gifts, and create something on your own terms, then hopefully this video was helpful to you. And if you want to take the next step and you want my personal help in it, as I said, you can work with me privately or join the Epic Life Masterclass. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, watch my videos on INFJ careers. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.